Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video. And with all the Battle Pass controversy going on and the game is too expensive, we've been fighting for, arguing about, a lot of drama, people making videos. I decided let's take a little more of like an analytical look, a little more of a data-driven look at the cost of Hearthstone, how expensive Hearthstone is, because there's been a lot of arguing on Twitter. I'm highlighting here an exchange between Frodan and Brian Kibler. This is basically, there's a lot of pressure on streamers, partly because of, the stuff we've been doing. And Kibler basically brought up this point. He said, in what way is it getting more expensive? This year they added duplicate protection, free and new returning player decks, free Demon Hunter cards. The progression system is intended to give players more golden cards, and they've already made changes already to make it get even more. And he goes on that he's, the outrage is that the system's going to give less. Anyways, basically he's going on like it's not this nefarious thing to cover up for Blizzard and content creators aren't on the payroll. It comes back a lot to, the comment we made about, streamers being spineless and not speaking up because they're afraid they're going to lose their perks and all that stuff. And I have never seen more communication and more vocalness from streamers since that video. This has been a hot topic issue. It wasn't really talked much about the first week or so until our video kind of went viral. And yeah, there's been positives about it, people talking about it, and then some real negatives where people have just been absolutely harassed and called horrible things. And I feel really bad about that. I feel like that's partly on me because of the whole, how strong that video was. I messaged it very strongly that all the content creators are spineless and all this stuff, when that was too harsh. I'll admit that. I was just trying to send a powerful message to get people talking, and that worked. But unfortunately, a lot of the talking was pretty negative and pretty nasty. And I do regret that, that's happened. I put out a tweet longer. I'll link it in the description below. Basically talking about how I didn't want people to go flame other people. Like, that was never my intent, but a lot of that happened. And I know a lot of you people watching this video didn't do anything like that. You got the message. You got that, that Blizzard lied originally with the more gold and less, which is just a fact. They did. And, that the system wasn't good enough. The game's getting more expensive, which we're going to go over in a second here, but I just wanted to get this message out. And, yeah, I made a tweet longer about it, that I didn't want people attacking streamers saying horrible stuff. I wanted them asking them. I wanted them to ask their opinion on it. And whether they agreed or not, I could care less. I know Kibler's had a different stand. I know Trump's had a different stand, and that's their opinion. That's awesome. They can say whatever they want. They have their own data to back that up. That's great. But I'm going to work on what I have and all the stuff I've read, and that's what I've been doing in my videos. And again, don't go out and harass. Like, I'm doing this in comparison to Kibler's query about, is the game getting more expensive? Don't go harass Kibler about this. You can ask him questions, and if he continues to disagree on what I have to say or other people have to say, that is perfectly fine. He's entitled to that. Don't go harass him. Anyways, I feel I hate talking down to you guys because, again, I know like 99.9% of you aren't going to do anything like that, but there has been this bit of an issue with people just getting nasty messages, so I'm putting that out there. Anyways, let's move on. Let's get to the point of this video. And I decided, I don't know if you know, probably you don't know about me, is that I have an accounting degree. I went to school. I worked for a publicly, an audit company for a couple of years before I ended up having to get back surgery, which led me to streaming. It was a way of recuperating, and then I just fell in love with it, and I just haven't gone back to accounting since. So I do have a bit of a background with like accounting, with assumptions. I've done like modeling, all this stuff. So I decided I'm going to go take a look at like basically the history of Hearthstone from like a data-driven perspective to look, has the game gotten progressively more expensive or cheaper or the same? And, is Kibler correct here? Is that, the duplicate protection, the returning stuff, that all factors in and makes it for a cheaper experience. So let's dive in. Let's take a look at the data and see, has the game got cheaper or has it got more expensive? So I broke everything down and I started crunching the numbers and doing all this stuff, building all these different assumptions, calculations, and I was going to have this big elaborate, like, how things have broken down. And Basically, it just became really startling really quickly that there is a big jump up in cost in this game, and doesn't really need to be exact numbers. It doesn't really matter. I don't have to make this overly complicated. Like, I literally broke down every expansion, all the legendaries, all the epics in every single one of them, factored out the probabilities of opening one in a pack, all this different stuff, and it's really clear if you just start digging in just a little bit that yes, the game is getting a lot more expensive, and I'll get into that pretty quickly here. And I just want to give a couple broad assumptions so you know what I'm basing certain math on. So pack distribution, legendaries 5% per pack, epics 20% per pack that you can get these cards. This is from a disclosure that Blizzard had to make to China. Basically, loot boxes are a form of gambling, and China requires this stuff to be disclosed if you want to sell in their market. So they disclose the exact numbers: 5% legendary drop rate, 20% epic rate, and that is assumed to be the same here. And yeah, I started calculating in things, and I was going to calculate in like pity timer. I was going to calculate in duplicate protection, average dust, like what excess amount of dust it would take to start crafting and making stuff. But I'm like, you don't need to do that. It just becomes abundantly clear that next year the game is going to be a lot more expensive. And that's the whole argument. That's the whole debate. Is the game actually getting more expensive? And there was a jump up in price in the game. Again, by the way, these are absolutely not accurate numbers. You don't have to spend, let's say this year, $1,900 to get everything. You're going to be getting daily quests, year-end or monthly rewards, dust from disenchanting cards. But for the purposes of my initial building of this model, was just like, let's assume you had to buy every pack for every expansion. You can never use gold, because that would just baseline give you an idea of how much it would cost every single year, right? It's not going to be this much. It's not even going to be close. But it just gives you an idea of if that assumption is true for 2014, and I started playing in 2018, and I wanted to get caught up on the standard year, it's going to cost me X amount compared to 2014. And in 2018, it's more expensive because back then you had adventures which were way cheaper. They were like $20 and you got everything. So it's really cheap. Whereas the expansions are never cheap. It's not a reality. So anyways, I did a lot of work, and I'm just going to ditch a lot of it because I just want to get right to the main point. Basically, we jump ahead to next year, 2021. We have 3 expansions that will be coming out, and they're all going to have their own mini sets. They've already said they're going to be 35 cards a mini set. And prior adventure, Galakrond's Awakening, it came out early this year. I had 35 cards, so I'm just assuming 4 epics, 4 legendaries in here. Could be more or less, but I gotta go off some kind of assumption. I think it's safe to say it'll be in that ballpark. Skip ahead to the very, very, very rudimentary base calculations of what it would cost. And in 2021, we are looking at a big bump up from this year, right? We're looking at a huge bump up in cost. Again, these are not exact numbers, but in terms of percentage, it's significant. It's like $370, and that's compare that to the $2,100, $1,800 if you were to start day one, not have a single ounce of gold, not get the starter pack or starter deck, any of the stuff. That's exactly around what it would cost you. It's exactly what it would cost you to get a full collection, like right away, like $2,000. But regardless, these numbers aren't exact, but the step up is, the increase in price is, next year, there's going to be more legendaries, more epics, more packs required than ever. And if the reward system, which is arguably less, maybe the same, maybe a bit more, but in no ways is this new reward system giving you a lot more. A significant amount more. It's a minuscule at best. But the game is getting more expensive significantly because of the mini sets. And that's what this is all about. That's what this whole thing is about. The game is getting more expensive, and as you can tell by these numbers, it's already an expensive game. And now it's getting even more expensive, and they've added a reward structure that doesn't really give you anything more. So people that are already feeling on the fence, already feeling like they can't play, which is a lot of people, a lot of disenfranchised people that I hear from you guys every single day, it's going to get that much harder with all of the new content added. And believe me, I'm happy there's new content. I'm glad we're going to have this mid-expansion content because the meta can get so dry. But at the same time, if people can't access it, can't enjoy it, what's the point? We need those people to actually have an opportunity without shelling out gigantic dollars to get there. And again, these are not exact numbers. Don't crucify me in the comments that, I didn't include all these different things. You can see on the very fundamental level that these mini sets are just going to amplify the cost by a lot, and this new reward system, as it stands, doesn't really compensate for that at all. So that's my conclusion on all of this. The game is getting more expensive, mainly because of the new mini sets, and that doesn't even include the monetization of duels and battlegrounds and all that stuff. That's a whole different whack of things. Regis talked about duels the other day. I recommend that video if you want to take about it. It's getting a lot more expensive, and Blizzard, please say something. Please step it up just a little bit. Give the free-to-play players a bit something more. I can afford this. I'm going to buy all of it. It doesn't matter for me, but for so many people that want to play the game, just step it up just a tiny bit more. It would just go a hell of a long way. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day, and stay salty, my friends.